Asia, I got Australia over here. Look at all these for going to America.
Unbelievable, Joe. I'm so happy to find out that you're distributing our training material all over the world. I need more people like you out there in our network. And if you keep up this good work, I'm very sure that next year V Studios are going to create so much more. Hello? Mods? Yeah, I'm coming. I'm just around the corner. 15 minutes, I'll be there. Same place. See you there. Bye. Where did I put it? Where is it? Ah, here it is. Well, guys, I've got some great news and some bad news. I just met an IR called Joe, and I just found out that the past 1 year we have distributed over 5 million of my DVDs all over the world. The bad news is V Studios is shutting down tomorrow. Remember, guys, duplicate good deeds, not DVDs. Buy original.
Most people who become successful started by being desperate people. You agree? All right? We were very desperate because we were poor. We didn't know how poor we were until now. You know what I mean? Because when you were kids, you never know how poor you were. Then when you grow up and you start understanding money, then you realize, my God, how did we survive? You know what I mean? Now, I'm going to basically address two questions. One question is, why should you choose us? Why should you choose the we? Why should you choose Kuna? That's question number one. Okay, I'll do that very fast because you've already got a lot of information over the last few days. Why? This is the place you need to be. Okay, question number two is, why should you be rich? Okay, it's a very tough question, okay, because sometimes it's not popular to be rich, and sometimes it's not easy to go out there and be rich. You know, we have had a lot of issues, we've had a lot of challenges over the years. True? You have challenges in your market. Now, it's also tough for the company, it's tough for the people in the company, okay? But you just got to remember one thing, guys, all right? Companies don't really succeed. People do. Have you heard that before? Okay? Now, do you know the people behind this company? Have you seen them? Some of you all know them personally? That's very important. Okay, it's important for you to know the people, all right? Because it is those people and your connection with them that keeps them passionate about your future, okay? It's the people behind the company who's going to make sure that we never give up, okay? That we go to markets where you want to go to, okay? We don't go to markets which are easy. We go to markets which are tough. Agreed? Okay? We've had a lot of lawyers, a lot of professionals always advising us. Why are you in this market? It's too difficult. You know, you should pull out. You know? If you were a businessman, that would make business sense. Agreed? You know, there are many easy markets. Why should you be in difficult markets? But Dato Sri Vijay Ishwaran had a vision. He wasn't going to decide to help one person and not help the other person. Okay? He was going to take his vision to everyone. Have we kept to that promise? Has the we kept to that promise? So guys, no matter how tough things get, we're not going to let you down. We may take some time in solving problems. We may look like we're taking a little bit of a rest. Okay? We may look like we're making mistakes. Okay? But you got to always remember that our heart is in the right place. Okay? Do you know why we don't give up? The main reason why we don't give up is because we hate losing. The thing is, before you can really be successful, before we can make this a giant network marketing company, okay, before we can be a truly global network marketing giant, we need to get our mindset straight. Okay? Now you guys love sports, right? Okay? Now you got to understand that sports people have the most of their strength, most of their training is always up in the mind. Did Krishnan take away your excuses? It took away my excuses. Believe it or not, even as we partners, sometimes we have excuses. Sometimes we have tough days. Sometimes things don't go your way. Okay? But it's important that you dig in deep and understand the mindset. As I said earlier, QNet and the V, we're not a gigantic company yet. But we have decided that we will be a giant. We have already made that decision. It's a matter of time. Do you understand? Can you see that already? Can you see that chief has already decided this will be the smallest VCon ever? Have you seen that? So when you are surrounded by this kind of thinking, can you afford to go back and not be successful? Can you do that anymore? I'm telling you guys, whether you like it or not, we're not going to let you. Okay? Because we have plans. We have big plans. Because they always say, the best revenge. Have you heard this saying? The best revenge is massive. The best revenge is massive success. And that's what Datuk Sri Vijay believes in. We don't make a lot of noise sometimes. Okay, but last night was a very historic point in our journey. Okay, because we have tied up with a giant. Manchester City Football Club is a giant brand out there. We're no longer playing in the small leagues. Do you know what I mean? We're now playing in the Premier League. Now, when you go out there and you tell people we're the official direct selling partner of Manchester City Football Club, they're going to start taking you seriously. Okay? They're going to look at you differently. All right? Believe me, guys. But that alone is not going to be enough. Okay? We've done our part. We've worked hard. We've taken this business to a global platform. It has its problems. It has its challenges. But sometimes I tell you guys, we need those challenges. We need the problems. We need the issues. Sri Lanka, as far as we're concerned, is one of the toughest markets to build this business. And it produced a Wasanta. India is one of the toughest markets to build this business, and yet we have the Kavita and Sharfoon. So are you guys okay with some challenges? I don't know any other way, guys. I'm afraid not to have challenges. We are afraid of markets with no challenges. Do you know what I mean? The people are not here. All right, guys. But I'm telling you one thing. The V and QNet offers you something unique. And sometimes there's a little bit of confusion. What is this QNet? How is QNet the V? The V is QNet. Am I a member of QNet or am I a member of the V? Has some people asked you this question? Do you have a little bit of confusion? I tell you, a long time ago, when we were trying to understand it ourselves, okay, someone actually told me how he understood it, and it made a lot of sense, okay? Because ultimately, guys, we're just a bunch of people, okay? Whatever the name is, we're just a bunch of people with big dreams. Is that okay? But he explained to me that if QNet was a body, the V was going to be the soul. And you know how important that is, right? Okay? So you guys understand what this is about. This is not, if you think this is just a business like I did initially, okay, it was very difficult to understand it, okay? Because what Datuk Sri Vijay does every day, okay, is like what he does at VCon. Okay? That's his mindset. His mindset is he's in a race. Now guys, sometimes it's not bad being a small company. We're not really small, but we're not a giant either. Okay? But you can still stand here, sit there, and meet the owners of the company. Okay? You can still pick up the phone and make a call to Chief Patman and the V partners. That, I hope that it will always be like this. Okay? Because that is the only way it should be. All right? Because we are a family. Agreed? Okay? These days it's not so easy to do it, but you know how to do it. If you want to get through to Datuk Sri Vijay, any one of y'all know how to do it, right? Okay? Now, guys, today's world is very challenging. You can see the world is changing, trends are changing, technology is changing. Okay? People who have jobs today, in 3 years, those jobs may not exist. Do you know what I mean? Okay? Things are changing and you need to be on top of the game to survive. Times were different when our parents were building a future. Today, you need to be a lot bigger, stronger, and louder. You need to be ahead of the game. Otherwise, you and your family are going to be left behind. So we think that the next 3 to 5 years is going to be the defining moment for QNet. And some of y'all, it's going to be the defining moment in your lives. And guys, I'm telling you, okay, when a moment like that comes to you, you can't afford to let it go. Because normally it only comes once. Okay? When it came for me, Sati in Patman, it wasn't that easy. Okay? Because we got involved with network marketing and we did the business for 6 years. There were a lot of disappointments. There were a lot of rejections. There were a lot of tears. Okay? People let us down. 6 years. But we were so hungry that we absorbed the knowledge. We were so hungry that we made the knowledge our own. Okay? We became network marketing experts. All right? And when Dato Sri Vijay came with the opportunity, it was Patman who saw it. All right? But we were a desperate bunch of guys. Do you know what it is? You know, it's like wanting, you know, it reached a point where it was, when you don't have oxygen, you know, can you imagine a drowning person wanting his breath of oxygen? We were at that point. You know how it was, guys? You know, when you have very dry grass, a spark will light a fire. You know what I mean? Okay? We were at that point. Are you at that point? I believe some of you all are at that point, guys. Okay? And we will provide the spark. All right? Because when the time comes, you need to be ready. Kuna and the V, we're not perfect, but we're hungry. We're passionate. Sometimes we are angry. We're willing to work hard. I've seen the V partners work 22 hours a day. I've seen the in-service work 24 hours a day. I don't think you can find a better company. So let's make it happen. Are we okay? Guys, it's not going to be easy, but it's going to be worth it. Okay, because I don't know. I mean, you know that there is this big conspiracy in the world, right? Do you know the conspiracy theory? Do you know that the 5%, 95% theory? Now, the 5% don't want the 95% to be the 5%. You know that, right? Okay, because if the 95% figure out how to be the 5%, then the 5% won't be 5% anymore. Because rich people like poor people to be poor. Have you noticed that? It's not a bad thing, guys. Because it's just like that. You know, they just feel comfortable being rich. In order for them to be rich, there needs to be poor people. Agreed? Now, we can't afford to be poor. We can't afford to be poor simply because, all right, it's too much fun when you have money. It's less stressful when you have money. There is so much less pain when you have money. Agreed? So guys, the three of us realized that we needed to be rich. And I still think we're not rich enough, okay? But we're definitely rich. And I don't think it's a bad thing, okay? Because once you get used to it, once you get used to being rich, it's very hard to become poor. You understand that? Okay? I mean, how many of y'all have air conditioned ACs in your house? Can you live without AC? You can't, right? Think about it, guys. When you never had AC in the house, life was actually okay. Agreed? When I grew up, my house had fans. There was no air condition. But today, for 10 minutes without air condition, life is unbearable. Agreed? Does that make sense? If we switch off the AC in this stadium right now, can you bear it, you think? It's going to be really hot, right? But that's how you should feel about being poor. That is how you should feel about not having money. That is how you should feel about having bills which stack up and your bank account shrinking. Because guys, there are a lot of things that you can do. Your options become plenty. Okay? And guys, please don't get me wrong, okay? Because I think there are a lot of important things in life. I mean, family is by far the most important thing. Okay? And if ever you're going to be rich, okay, that's your main focus. And I believe we're all the same. Agreed? All right? But sometimes you also need to understand that there are a lot of other things that money can get you. And guys, it's not easy being rich, you know. Because if you look around you and when you see rich people, okay, they look different. Do they look different? They just look better. Have you noticed that? Why do they look better? Less stress? Wrong. You see, all these rich people were actually poor people who became rich. Most of them. You know what I mean? All right? But they had a lot of practice at being rich. You know, they started to learn how to walk. They started to talk differently. They started to think differently. Okay? They started to wear different clothes. They started to understand how you should walk into a 5-star hotel. Because when you go to a 5-star hotel, when a poor guy walks into the 5-star hotel, you know how he walks. When a rich guy walks into a 5-star hotel, that's a rich guy. You know what I mean? Guys, think this carefully. It's a mindset. Okay? They just look better. Of course, they also wear nicer things, nicer clothes. Okay? And today, when we first went, long time ago, Sati, Patman and I made our very first trip to Germany. It was J.R. Mayer's father who invited us. Okay? And we looked like the 3 guys who came from the village. Even the immigration guy took a long time to stamp our passports. Okay? They were concerned, especially with Patman. Okay? Because the guy actually said, "Are you here to come to work for McDonald's?" You know how it is, right? Guys, because, you know, when it's your first time, that was our first time to Germany. This was almost 14 years ago. And you know how it is, you start looking around like this. You know what I mean? You're not sure where to go, you know what I mean? Okay, and when people see that happening, they know you're from the village. And everybody stared at you simply because we were touching things. You know what it is? You know, you were touching the sofa. You know, you were like, again, you know, like this. You know what I mean? Right? And I just realized at that point, I said, hey, we must learn how to be rich. You know, we needed to get information. We needed to get some knowledge. We needed to know how to act rich. You know how this so-called royalty and these aristocrats, you know, they just look so grand, right? Okay? Guys, it's all a scam. Okay? Because these guys actually had a lot of practice. Okay? They were also like this, you know. You know, it's amazing that my first flight, the first time I took an aeroplane was when I was 24 years old. Is that shocking? There are 1-year-old kids here who already sat in a plane. Amazing, isn't it? But I took 24 years before I got on a plane. Can you imagine how scary that concept was when you're 24 years old? First of all, I did not understand how people went to an airport and found out where their plane was. Do you know what I mean or not? I had to experience that, you know. So I had to like pretend to ask some people without making myself look like I was from the village. Okay? And I tell you, it's amazing, guys, because this business has created so many success stories. Okay, in a short period of time, they haven't had chance to practice to be rich. So I know one guy who was very, very, very successful in this business, and he's still very successful in the business, but it was his first flight. And he basically got on a plane, he put on his seat belts, and he did not know how to open it. Can you imagine that happening on a plane? Guys, that's the stories that this room is full of, and that's the stories you will hear from a lot of people in this business. Okay? But in order to basically get your mindset ready, guys, okay, you need to figure out that there are different things in this world. Okay? There's a whole world available to you when you reach that success in the next 2 years. We can't afford to remain where we are. Your families cannot afford for you to remain where you are. Our family, my family, needed this. Do you understand? Not this, but we needed to get out of the 95%. We were desperate. Do you understand? Guys, I'm telling you, all right, it's already happening. These days, when I get into an aeroplane, and when we all turn left, you remember, right? Okay? You actually see other networkers in the left. All right? You walk into business class in a plane, you actually seeing V partners, AVPs, you're seeing V councils, you're seeing your leaders sitting in business class. You walk into first class, there's one seat there where nobody sits. They have a small sign there. It says, reserved for Dave Wadwani. Because I understand he made a special deal with Emirates and he bought the seat. I don't know how he did it, okay, but they always leave it empty for him. Okay, but that is what's waiting for you, and that's what we're going to basically be doing for the rest of our lives. Does that sound good? So guys, you already have the information. You have the right company. You have the V. Okay? All we need is for you to make that decision.